All right. Hello, everyone. Very excited to be here. I say everyone. I think we've got 2 people in here so far, but I love that. And hey, listen, the one that's in there, you better behave yourself. You better behave. You know who you are. I've got a very particular pet peeve with my KG Tropicals YouTube channel, and some people think it's funny to come over here and do it here. Only a select few can get away with it, and Curtis Crump is one of them. But anyway, listen, how's everybody doing? I am still trying to kind of figure out what is the best time strategy for this live stream. Right now, it's just kind of a, hey, whenever, let's just do it. You know, it'll be fun. And if I'm being completely honest with you, this week has been wild, the last couple of weeks, actually. And so today at like 9:30 or something like that, maybe, I don't know. I don't remember when it was. I was like, oh, wait a minute. Today's Wednesday. I usually try to stream on Wednesdays on the Money Pit. Oops. So little unprepared here today, but I have a topic that I think will be a lot of fun, and that is DIY worth it? And if there's anyone that is here with me live watching this, I would love to get your input on DIY projects. Are they worth it? And then also, if you are someone who is watching this on replay, you can certainly put that in the comments. This is a channel that I'm doing for fun. I'm enjoying myself. It's great. I'm embarrassing myself in some situations, but I really do enjoy this. But I'm trying to make this channel grow, because that's the fun part about YouTube, right? Is trying to get things to grow. So putting something in the chat or putting something in the comments on replay is something that definitely helps us to grow the channel. So come along this quest with me of trying to restore this house back to its, I can't say original glory, because if I was to take it to its original glory, I'd be ripping probably 2/3 of the house down. I don't think my wife's going to let me do that, but I do want to try to bring this back to its glory. And I'm sorry if I just blew out your eardrums. I don't know why that was so loud when I said the word butt. I like big butts, and I cannot lie. Anyway, listen. I think there is... Oh, wait. I guess I have to give you a kind of an update on what's been going on here, right? I made a lot of progress on the kitchen. The last part of the kitchen that I have to do. Actually, I realized a couple days ago, there's a couple more little odds and ends that I have to do. But the big thing that's left for the kitchen remodel is the kitchen island. And I got some serious progress done last week. It was not easy because of the heat. The heat's been particularly bad this week, but it's been bad here for a couple of weeks now. And the thing that I struggle with is I've got things temporarily set up in the back of my barn. The back of my barn is basically an oven. I mean, it sits in the direct path of sunlight. There is nothing blocking the sunlight from directly hitting on that area of the barn. It's not insulated. It has a metal roof. It has metal siding, which is barn red, which just draws in that heat. Needless to say, it is an inferno in the back of that barn. And so it's been very difficult. That's been the thing that's been holding me back the most. But through consulting with my wife, I have made a decision. We made a decision. I'm going to do things a little bit differently, because if I don't, this project's never going to get done. I have right now the majority of the island cut out. All of the pieces are cut out. The panels for the sides and the back are made. The 3 cabinets themselves are made. And then I also have all of the components cut out for the drawer boxes. There's going to be 6 drawer boxes. Those are all cut out. They're all sanded. They're all ready to go. I have to paint the drawer boxes, which was a surprise. but I ran out of pre-finished plywood and I didn't want to hold this project up even more and have to go to the lumber yard to buy more. So I decided I'm going to paint the drawer boxes. Would not be my first choice. But anyway, I have everything all cut out and ready to go. I'm going to assemble the drawer boxes, and then I'm going to bring everything inside the house, and I'm going to install the island and then paint it in place. I'm a little bit nervous about that idea because I'm worried about drips. I'm not going to spray the paint on these cabinets. I'm going to roll it on and brush it on. And when you're painting doors and drawer fronts and panels with a brush or with a roller, you do have that risk of there being drips. And if there's drips, they are the worst to try to get rid of. So I'm a little bit nervous about that. What I may do is take my time, take each panel. When I say panel, you'll know what I mean when you actually see the island go together. But basically it's 3 cabinets that's going to be wrapped in panels to make it look fancy. I might just lay those panels and just one at a time, brush them laying flat in the kitchen. It's not going to be convenient, but the wife gave me the go ahead to do that. So I have to do it that way because otherwise this project's never going to get done. It's just been a nightmare working back in the back of that barn. But while I am doing the painting of it, there's also going to be the tabletop or the countertop that needs to be made. And I have to do that in the back of the barn. So still a lot of stuff that needs to be done in the back of the barn. And I just have to deal with the heat. It sucks, but it is what it is. But this project, the island, the kitchen as a whole, is a great example of the topic today. Is it worth it? But I think we need to define what it is. When I say DIY, I think we need to define what that means, because DIY means a lot of things. I did a video last week about installing a ceiling fan. That's a DIY project. There are people that would call a guy for that, or they can make a decision to do it themselves, like I did. That's a lot easier and a big difference than remodeling an entire kitchen or remodeling a bathroom or, whatever. Going into your bedroom and painting the walls a different color, that's a different deal than replacing the siding on your house. I hope you understand what I'm saying. I want to kind of cover all of that in this topic today, starting with the easy stuff. Is the easy stuff worth it? Obviously, the number one criteria to all of this is going to be your abilities. I believe it was Curtis Crump said earlier, and I can't find it, but said something about okay, where did it go? Where is it at, Curtis? Said something about, is it worth it if you have the skills and patience? Sure, I have neither. Some people don't, and I'm not going to ridicule people that don't know how to swap out a ceiling fan or don't know how to, replace an outlet or something like that. Projects that I would consider to be simple. Not everybody has the knowledge to do that. I don't care who you are. You have time to do it. Curtis didn't say anything about time. I know some of the busiest people on the planet, and they would still not call a guy to do a simple project like that. But when you get into major remodels and things like that, that's where you really start to have to question whether it's worth it. I am not going to say who this person is, but I had a conversation with somebody very close to me a while back. We were at this person's house, and this person has young children, has a busy lifestyle. I know for a fact this person plays probably 10 to 12 hours of video games per week, but still has a pretty busy lifestyle. And I was talking to this person about the battle that I have on my property. Almost, well, 4 acres, 6 mature sycamore trees, and like 12 mature pine trees, constantly dropping pine needles and pine cones. And the sycamore trees are constantly dropping sticks. Right now, the bark is shedding off of the sycamore trees. It's my least favorite thing in the world. I was talking about the battle that I have constantly picking up sticks. And this person who lives on a 1/4 acre, the front yard of this property is like the size of a living room. And this person said, yeah, I swear to God, these words came out of this person's mouth. Yeah, I'm going to probably have to call a guy to come out here and pick up these sticks because it's getting to be too much. After I just got done talking about the battle that I had. And I was just like, oh my God, I bet you cross your legs when you sit down. I mean, like, really? You're going to call a guy for that? It would take you 15 minutes. That front yard is as big as... Anyway, there are people that just choose not to do DIY projects. It's like, hey, I believe a better use of my time is to play video games. And listen, if that person is, if you are one of those people, then that's fine. I look down on that personally because I think that's, if you're going to pay somebody to come to your house to pick up 26 sticks that are in your front yard that are all this big and your front yard is the size of a automobile, I think you should kind of be embarrassed by that. But that's me. I was brought up in a household where my dad got up at 6 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday so that he could go out and cut the grass before it got too hot. I mean, that's what I grew up seeing. I don't do that. Somebody has to be dead for me to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm sorry. I just don't do it. But different times, I wish I was one of those people. In fact, I got a text from my sister the other day. Obviously grew up in the same household I did. And it was like 8:30 in the morning when she texted me and she said, yeah, I just got done cutting the grass. Had to do it because I wanted to beat the heat. And I was like, wow, I wish I was like that. I'm not a morning person. I'm a night owl. Let me tell you what I did last night and I'll tell you how much of a night owl I am. I have never wanted headlights on my lawnmower more than last night. Last night was the very first time in my 51 years, just turned happy birthday, just turned 51 yesterday. And in those 51 years, for the first time, if I had headlights on my lawnmower, I would have used them. Why? Because 8 o'clock last night, I decided, you know what? The heat is still bad. My grass is 1.5 feet high. I need to get out there and I need to cut this grass. And I knew I wasn't going to get it all done in 40 minutes, but I was out there till like a little after 9 in the pitch black dark, cutting grass. And when I got to the point where I couldn't see my lines anymore, I was like, okay, this is actually going to end up being really bad and look horrible. So I stopped. She's also retired. That's very true, but even more reason not to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning. You think I'm getting up at 6 if I'm retired? Somebody better be trying to break in if I'm going to get up at 6 whenever it is that I retire. But yeah, I guess if you don't have anything else to do, it's kind of like, I'll get up at 6 and then later on, I'll just take a nap. No big deal. I so much wish I was that person. So anyway, headlights were an option on the Kubota zero turn that I bought 3 years ago. I did not opt for that because I'm like, I don't cut the grass in the dark. Why would I do that? Last night I would have, because I got into a nice little groove. It was still hot, but not as outrageous as it was during the day. I would have probably cut the whole lawn yesterday. Last night. I don't have to worry about bothering my neighbors. I do have a neighbor with a infant, not infant. Is she considered an infant, Lisa? Not a newborn anymore, but she's under a year. So she's a infant, not a toddler yet. And so I would have probably gotten the street side done first. That way my mower isn't making that noise, possibly keeping the baby up. But in the back, like from my house back, nobody's going to hear it if I'm running my mower. So I don't have to worry about bothering neighbors or anything like that. If I had headlights, I would have done it last night. But that's the first time in my lifetime that I've ever really wanted to do it. So anyway, I'm going to probably do the same thing tonight, but I'll probably get started a little earlier, probably get going at like, I don't know, after dinner. Hopefully it starts to cool off a little bit. It's 94 right now here, according to my computer. We'll see. If it gets to be like high 80s by 7, then maybe I'll start to do that. But let's see. According to this, it'll be 88 at 8 p.m. So we'll see. But anyway, I just said, going back to the topic, I just said to my wife Monday, I said, you know, I was raised with the influence that I had as far as being a man. My dad was perfect at that. He was a great example of a man's man back then. Man's man now sits with his legs crossed with skinny jeans on and brightly colored socks and wears a man bun. And it's like, come on, man, really? That is what people are inspired by now. It's kind of ridiculous. But back then, you know, the man, and certainly women could do this too. I'm not one of those guys, but you know, back then in the 80s, you didn't see wives out cutting the grass on Saturday mornings. It was always the husband. That was the thing. That's what I grew up seeing. And I've never in my life ever paid a guy to cut my grass. But I can totally understand why some people do. When we bought this house, again, it's 4 acres, so it's not out of control, but it's a half a day to cut the grass, and that's without doing all of the edging and all of that, the trimming and stuff. It's a pretty involved deal. And when you're talking about August in Northeast North Carolina, it's butt hot outside. It's miserable. The bugs, it's a nightmare. It is an all day thing. And I'm like, okay, I'm 51. I like cutting grass, but do I like sacrificing an entire day and then getting covered head to toe in dirt from the whole thing? I don't know. I'm kind of starting to think, no, I don't like sacrificing an entire day. But here's the thing. This is where things have changed for me dramatically, and it's absolutely improved my quality of life. My wife, out of nowhere, a few weeks ago, was like, you know what? We should fire up that John Deere and I'll help you cut the grass. I've never heard better words in my life than for her to say that. We've got a John Deere 32-inch riding mower that we had from our previous house when we only lived on a half acre. And she's like, yes, get that thing fired up for me and I will cut the grass. You know, we'll do it together. And so it's cut the time like in half, which is great. And so I don't hate it as much anymore. But the point I'm trying to make is I can understand why some people would. When we looked at this house and we were touring it for the first time, the gentleman that was living here with his family told us he pays a guy to cut the grass. And I'm like, man, that's embarrassing. Like, why would you do that? You've got teenage sons, of which I think he had 3. Why are you doing that? Well, I can kind of understand now. I've never been that guy, and I don't know if I ever will do that, but I do understand it. And so DIY is not for everyone. I do think, though, that there is a point where it gets ridiculous. I'm sorry, I'm just going to say it, and you may hate me, but that's fine. I don't know what that horribly loud notification was on a phone that I don't even use. I only use it as a camera. If you call a guy to replace your air conditioner's filters, if you call a guy to clean your windows, that's embarrassing. I'm sorry. If you call a guy to replace light bulbs, that's embarrassing. It's just the way I was brought up. If you are one of those people, we can argue. It's fine. We can still be friends, but I'm probably going to make fun of you throughout the remainder of our friendship because that's embarrassing. I'm going to call a guy to pick up 9 sticks out of my front yard. I'm going to call a guy to, it's too much. If I was a wealthy guy, I still would not be doing that. For little things. We're talking about brainless, easy tasks that everybody is capable of doing. It's just a matter of choosing whether or not to do it. And I don't buy into this whole thing of, well, I just don't have time. I run a business. I chase my wife around all day. I run 4 YouTube channels. Well, 3 and a quarter. I help my wife out with her channel a little bit. So 3 and a quarter YouTube channels. I have a business that I run, that I work every single day, and I can do it. And I'm 51. If you're capable of doing these things, then you absolutely should be doing it. But we can disagree on that, and that's fine. Where things get complicated, though, is when we're talking about the big, major stuff. A perfect example is my kitchen remodel. I'm not trying to toot my horn here, but it's a massive project. It is so much more than what shows up on the videos that I've done. I mean, the first video that I did was like 2 weeks worth of work. Working on it, occasionally on the evenings, weekends, things like that. I bet that deer has headlights. It does, actually. But once you've used a 0-turn 60-incher, you can't go back. You can't go back to a steering wheel. It's just not feasible. If we were to downsize at some point and we were on like a 1/4 acre or something like that, okay. But I'd probably still trade that deer in and get me a 0-turn, because once you have one, you can't go back. My alarm goes off at 4 a.m. every day. I've been there. I've done that. And I hated every day of my life. I don't know how you function doing that. 4 a.m. wake up, 6 a.m. on the job. Yeah, that's tough. I used to be that. I used to do that. And again, once you don't do that anymore, it's really, really hard to go back. I want a 0-turn, but if I started it, the lawn would be done. Oh, I get it, because your yard is small. That's funny. Yeah, they make small ones. I'm just saying. My kitchen, here's the number one drawback to doing massive projects and doing it yourself. We're going to just go with the cons first and then kind of wrap it up with an answer of, is it worth it? Big projects. I've done 2 major projects here on this house. One was a living room remodel, which I did not do a video on, and I don't know why. For that, I ended up ripping up the carpet. I had to do a lot of repairs that were a surprise. Of course they were. A lot of repairs to the subfloor. Replaced it with laminate, which I regret. It looks great, and it's a great performing floor, but I wish I would have just gone with wood. But anyway, it looks great and it performs well. And I put it down in I think I put it down in one weekend when Lisa was gone doing something. I don't remember what she was doing. So it's fast, it's efficient, and it looks great. But I don't know, 200-year-old house putting laminate in it. I don't know. It kind of bothers me, but I love it. And I'm happier with those floors than I am my kitchen floors. So we'll get into that. But after doing the floors, I then also did a bunch of drywall repairs, replaced all the lights, which still aren't working, and painted the entire living room. It took quite some time to do all of that. Nowhere near the amount of time that it took for me to do the kitchen. The thing with the living room, it was all kind of self-contained to that room. I didn't have to do a bunch of moldings. I didn't have to build new cabinets. I wasn't, refinishing floors. It was just pull up the carpet, repair subfloors, put down the new stuff. It was a pretty straightforward, just a redo of the room, I guess you could say. Not a complete, do it all over again, start from scratch, which the kitchen hasn't been that way either, but it was still a very involved project. It took quite some time, but I could easily work on it in the evenings, which I did. It wasn't restricted to just the weekends because I had everything in that room and I could just walk in the room and get to work. Whereas with the kitchen, I've got to set everything up. I got to pull all the tools out. I got to walk the entire property 18 times to collect all of my tools because they're spread out everywhere. It's a whole big thing. So the bulk of the work that gets done in my kitchen gets done on the weekends. And guess what? I've been working on it for 4 months. Started on it in February. It is now about to be July. So it'll be getting on that 5-month mark that I've been working on that kitchen. So that is the very first thing that you have to consider. Now, if you're somebody that has more stamina than I do, maybe you're younger than me, or maybe you're just in better shape than me and have a better situation, you could work on it every day. This kitchen would have been done a long time ago if I could work on it every single day. But when you're limited to the weekends, and there's been a couple of weekends in that 4 months where I've just been like, you know what? F it. I'm not working on the kitchen this weekend. I'm just not. When you lose that time, it's brutal. So our kitchen has been in kind of disarray for 4 months because of this. Now, it's a lot less disarray than it was in. The island is gone. I removed that when I redid the floors and I threw it away. The old island is gone completely. So we have this kitchen, which is basically done, missing an island. Not critical to have that island, but the point is, it's been going on for 4 months. Most wives would not be as patient as mine is. Lisa has been very patient about this, not complained at all. I think she tried to one time and I was like, hey, wait a minute. And she stopped. I could be wrong. I might have read the situation wrong, but I think she was starting to be unhappy about it. And she stopped being unhappy about it. But at this point, I would not blame her for if she was to complain about it, because it's been 4 months. And by the time I get done with this island and it's complete and there's nothing more to do, it's going to be 5 months. So are you willing to sacrifice? Are you willing to work around that whole thing? Are you willing to be without things for 5 months? That's a big ask. That sounded like I said something inappropriate. The word was ask, not the other word. I'm fortunate. We don't have little kids here anymore. It would be a completely different situation if I did, and I would have help. My wife has helped me quite a bit, particularly with the floors. But when I say help, like my youngest, he has always been the guy. I don't have to beg him to help me. I don't have to be like, boy, come on, let's go, like my dad had to do with me. I could just be like, hey man, I got to do this. And he's like, let's go. He's always been that way. And I could give him the most ridiculous things to do. Like, okay, I need a hole dug 5 feet deep, 5 feet wide. And he'd be like, where's the shovel? And he would just completely ruin himself to get it done as fast as possible. I mean, it's unbelievable. He is a workhorse. He's always been that way. My oldest was more reluctant. I mean, he hasn't lived with us in a very long time. He's a grown man and has 3 kids of his own. He would help me with things back in the day. He's never lived in this house. But it took a little bit more convincing with him. He would always help me. But anyway, my youngest would always be like, you want help? You want me to do this for you? You want me to? It's amazing. And he's still that way. But I don't have that now. And so that has slowed things down. It would be so easy for me to be like, CJ, can you go grab all of that stuff out of the shed and bring it over here? Even though I'd feel guilty for asking him to do it, he would love it. He'd be like, I'm on it. You know, and it's amazing. Now it's my big butt that has to do all of that. The floors, when we did that was the most grueling thing I've ever done. If my wife hadn't helped me with the sanding and the staining, it still wouldn't be done. I mean, it was the worst thing ever. So thankfully I had help with that. But if you're somebody that has young people that live with you that are eager to help, and you want to take on a project like that, it can absolutely be worth it. In my situation, my answer might surprise you, but I'm going to hold on to it for a second until we talk a little bit more about whether or not it's worth it for me for the kitchen. There's aspects that it is, and there's aspects no. But when I think about a great example, with the exception of one, this house has 3.5 bathrooms, 3 full baths and 1 half bath. 3 of those 4, technically 4 bathrooms need to be completely gutted and remodeled. 3 of them do. One of them has cracked ceramic tile floors. Like, it needs major work. If you saw my very first video that I ever did on this channel, the one with the green walls that are still green, that one is probably the one that's going to require the most, but it's really not a big deal because we get like twice a year, the whole fam damly, like my mom likes to say. Our entire family will come here. We'll have like 14 people in this house, and it's madness. We use that bathroom then twice a year. So, and that's like usually around this time. They didn't do it this year, and then around Christmas time, Thanksgiving time, or in between those two, the whole family will show up, and we need that bathroom. But if we're in between those times, it could take me 4 months to remodel that bathroom with the green walls, and it's not going to hurt anybody. Nobody's going to be out anything. Even if it took me longer, like every project does, the kids could just use one of the other, this bathroom next to me here, they could use. It wouldn't be convenient, but it would work. It would just really suck if the entire family was here. So I think the biggest hurdle to get over for answering the question, is it worth it? Can you be without that thing for the longest time, for a long time? My master bathroom also desperately, and I mean desperately, needs to be redone. It's terrible. I am never going to show that bathroom until I remodel it, and I'll show you the befores because it is so bad. The tile shower is a complete and total nightmare. It looks horrible. It functions horrible. And I'm afraid it's going to leak at some point. The bathtub is a complete disaster. It has a hardwood floor, which is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in a bathroom. It's dumb enough to have a hardwood floor in the kitchen, but in the bathroom, come on. There's only one type of flooring that's acceptable in a bathroom, and that is ceramic tile. I can tolerate vinyl, the old school. Laminate? What am I? Why? I keep wanting to say Formica, but that's countertops. You know what I'm saying? The vinyl flooring, the sheets, that's acceptable too. If it's 1994, that's acceptable. But in today's world, hardwood floors in a bathroom is dumb. It's dumb. And the reason why is because I'm married to somebody named Lisa, and she is not very disciplined when it comes to water, particularly in the area of the bathroom. And it ruins floors in bathrooms. But in her defense, they were ruined before we even moved in here. That bathroom needs to be done desperately. But here's the question. What are we going to do when I'm remodeling that bathroom? Because the real deal is, it is going to take a long time. It's a running joke in my household. And it's not funny anymore because it's so true. If I go into a project and I tell Lisa, I'm like, it should take a weekend. It's not that big of a deal. She knows, okay, well, that's at least a month. It's no different than if she tells me I got to be at this place by 11. I know she's not going to get there till about 11:45. You just know, especially in my household. So things take way longer than they're supposed to. And, a lot of times it's not my fault. A lot of times there's surprises. Things happen. We weren't expecting this thing to happen here. In the kitchen, I wasn't expecting to have to patch floors. I wasn't expecting to get the worst machine you've ever seen in your life for sanding those floors when we refinished them. I didn't know that was going to happen. I didn't know I was going to want to jump off a bridge when we were doing those floors. I thought it was going to be a piece of cake, but it certainly wasn't. Surprises happen. And so with that bathroom, the plan that we have, there is a YouTube channel that I absolutely love, and I think I'm subscribed to it. It's something Walken. I think it's Working with Walken. Working with Walken, not Christopher Walken, even though I love that guy as an actor. Working, WORKIN, with Walken, WOLKON. What this guy does is remodels bathrooms. I've gotten so much inspiration from him for what I want to do with our bathroom. He takes bathrooms like mine that are crap and he makes them absolutely gorgeous. That's what he does for a living, and he documents it all on video. I want to take everything out that's in there now, gut it completely, remove the flooring. I want to redo the flooring in ceramic tile, and I want that tile to just go direct into the shower bathroom area, build a little curb, have no shower door, have it be wide open like what he would call a wet room. It's just everything in the room is okay to get wet. That's what I need when I have a barbarian for a wife that just slings water everywhere. I love that woman. I would die for her as we speak, but she is not good when it comes to slinging water everywhere. Okay, I'm bad too. But anyway, I would love that. That is a project that, this guy working with Walken, it takes him like 2 weeks to do a project like that. And he's working on it every day. It's his full-time job. He has all the equipment. He knows exactly what to expect. There are no surprises for him because he's done it all a million times. For me, I would anticipate that bathroom being out of commission for months, which is why it's probably not going to get done for a very long time. In fact, I could tell you what I think is probably going to end up happening. Lisa and I will not relocate our bedroom because that would be ridiculous. But I think what's going to end up happening whenever it is that I do that bathroom is I will use this bathroom that's attached to my office, which has a shower in it. She will use the other one that has the green walls, and those will be our bathrooms until the master bathroom is done. And the only time it's going to suck is when you got to get up in the middle of the night to go pee. That's going to be terrible. But I think what I would end up doing to remedy that issue is pull the toilet up, pull the floors up, and then put the toilet temporarily back into place. So we can at least use that. It's going to be brutal, but it needs to be done. And I'm actually really looking forward to that project because I hate the bathroom the way we have it now. The house that we lived in before we moved in here had the most unbelievable bathroom I've ever had in any house. We were just renting the house, so it is what it is. But I swear to you, the bathroom in that house, the master bathroom, was the size of our current master bedroom. It was unbelievable. It was one of those where the tub was sitting in the middle of the room. There was a separate, you go into a room for the toilet. So it's like its own little independent room, just a little teeny room. It's almost like a powder room within the bathroom, with the toilet in there. The shower was huge. It was the most magnificent bathroom we've ever had. It's not possible for me to recreate that because there isn't the space for it. It's a smaller bathroom, but I can make this bathroom really nice. It's just going to take a long time to do. Will I call a contractor to do it? I will not. I am stupid enough, and I am willing to risk I'm not going to risk my marriage, but I'm willing to risk my wife being unhappy temporarily because I would rather take pride in doing it myself. It's not going to end up being perfect, but it's going to be done by me, and I'm excited about that. So, aside from being without that room for a while, aside from the kitchen being turned upside down for the last 4 months, and there was a time there where it was really bad. Like I had tools everywhere. Right now, it's great because we have one of our kitchen tables brought back in. There's like a little breakfast area in the kitchen, right above the ceiling fan that I just replaced. Above it? No, the ceiling fan area is like a little breakfast area, which is our dinner area now. And then there's the separate area that is like for the dining room table. We don't have a dining room. It's all in one room. We haven't moved the dining room table yet back into the room, and I still don't kind of understand why. I feel like calling a guy would be a better option. Then no, there will not be a guy called for the bathroom. Real Madrid is asking about soccer. I know nothing about soccer. I don't know any of the teams. Would love to get intersected in soccer. And I think that was supposed to be interested. You'll enjoy it. I know I would enjoy it, but I'm not going to do it because it's too confusing. There's too many teams. No, I'm not going to do that. I have enough stress in my life being a fan of football. I tell you what I am interested in, though, Real Madrid fan, that is way more of a European thing than an American thing, and that is professional darts. I love the darts. Yeah, I'm into that, but I'm not into soccer. When I go to do our bathroom, it's going to have to be done strategically, like the kitchen. We're going to need to be able to use it. I'm going to have to do it in a way where we can still go pee. I mean, brushing our teeth and stuff like that, taking showers, we might have to go to another bathroom in order to do that. And that'll suck. But you know what? I'll get it done as quick as I can. I think that with that project, I will probably do a lot more investigating and planning than I did with the kitchen. The kitchen was like, I've been doing this. I've done this so many times. I ain't even got to worry about it. I feel like working with Walken. I can just bang it out real fast. Little did I know I was going to be surprised over and over and over again. But there is an issue. My experience with ceramic tile is limited. Very limited. I've done 2 backsplashes. That is my experience with ceramic tile. What I do know is ceramic tile, it's all in the planning. It's all in the preparation. I can handle it, but I'm a little bit worried about that. And so you have to ask yourself, am I going to be making a massive mistake if I take this project on myself because I'm not all that familiar with ceramic tile? And I'll give you a great story that is exactly what I'm talking about, where it turned out to be disastrous. And of course, let me finish this off. It has to do with floors. My sister used to live in a really, really big house. I think it was like 6,400 square feet. Her and her ex had a very successful business, and they lived in this absolutely incredible house. The family room, the main living area of this house, was gigantic. It was like 36 by 36. It was wonderful for all of our family gatherings because I've got 3 siblings. My sister has 4 children, not that sister, my other sister. My brother has 3 kids. And then the sister that lived in that house had 3 stepkids, 1 biological kid from her previous marriage, and then her and her husband, ex-husband now, had 2 children together. I mean, they had a lot. And so my family, when they would all get together, we're talking about 40 people in the room. My oldest sister, who's 10 years older than me, she has, how many grandkids does she have, Lisa? I think she has like 13 grandchildren herself. It's insane how many people we would get in that room. Well, my brother and ex-brother-in-law, who happened to be my best friend for 20 years, it's kind of awkward now. We haven't talked in years. But anyway, of course I'm going to take my sister's side in that whole situation. And it was a bad situation. And so him and I haven't talked in a long time. And my sister has a new man that she's been with for like 5 years. He's amazing. He's incredible. So she upgraded for sure. But anyway, they had this gigantic room. And when they first bought the house, they did a lot of remodeling and they put in soft pine floors, like number 2 pine. They really wanted that rustic look, and they finished it with the dumbest finish you could ever use on a floor: tung oil. Tung oil is known for being extremely weak. It provides 14 grandchildren. Good Lord. That means I think my mom has 67 great grandkids. Anyway, tung oil you're taking a risk using tung oil on furniture, but on floors, and they had like 12 kids running around, and they were one of those families that anything goes. The kids would ride rollerblades through the house and skateboards. And I would always be like, what are you doing? Like, I'm a wood snob. And so I would see that and I would just be like, no wonder our kids love coming over here so much, because it's a free for all. They can do anything. Well, when you do that And she had a St. Bernard that weighed like 6,700 pounds. The floors got so beat up so fast. My ex brother-in-law was like me. He looked at every scenario and he'd be like, you know what? I can refinish those floors in a weekend. No big deal. It's easy. Now, the difference between him and I is that man got stuff done. I mean, he was a workhorse. He didn't pass away. One of the hardest working men I've ever known in my life. Well, he hit me up. They were going on a vacation somewhere. I don't know where. And they were going to be gone for several days. And he said, wonder if you can help me out. We helped each other out. I mean, that's what family does, right? He said, and he offered to pay me to do this. He said, if I rent the equipment and I completely empty that room out, what would you think about coming to the house, refinishing the floors in that room while we're on vacation? I needed some money at the time. I was like, well, I still need it now, but I was like, yeah, that's not a big deal. I can absolutely do that for you. It's no problem. I've never done it before, but I know a guy who's done it and I can ask him and it's no big deal. I know how to do it. I've seen it done. I've watched people get it done in houses that I was working in. Like, it's no problem. I can handle it. Plus it's #2 pine. It sands beautifully. We'll go in there day one, sand it all up, go in the second day and finish them. It's no big deal. I've never been more wrong. Lisa and I went there together. She helped me with that one too. I don't know what it is when I do floors. She likes to help out. We did the same thing that we did in the kitchen, in our kitchen. I used the drum sander to get the field, and she went around and did the edges. And it was a completely different experience than what I did in my house now, because the floors were so soft. If you're not familiar with #2 pine, #2 pine is basically the same like softness as dimensional lumber. You go to the store and buy a 2x4 and you can put your fingernail in it. Like, that's how soft this wood was. So it sanded like a dream. I mean, the drum sander one pass would take all of that, plus all it was tung oil. So it sanded like it was nothing. We got the entire room and the kitchen sanded in one day. It was probably, I'm not exaggerating, it was probably 750 square feet. We did the sanding in one day. She went around with the edges and I did the field, and it was fine. But when it came to putting the finish down, I had asked for a roller. That's the way I'd seen it done in the past. Just like painting a wall is the way I had always seen it done. And that's how I wanted to do it. But my ex brother-in-law was like, nah, you do it with a T-bar. It's so much easier. It puts it on faster. You can probably do it in one coat. Or no, he didn't say that. He said 2 coats. It's going to go on a lot faster. And I want that finish to be thick because these damn kids. And so I'm like, all right, but I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to do it with a T-bar. It's probably easy, but it'll be fine. You'll be all right. You can do it. So we go in there day 2 and I used the T-bar. If you're not familiar with a T-bar, it's almost like using a squeegee. If you've ever used a squeegee before on a window or something like that, it's kind of the same concept. You just flood the finish on the floor and then you use this squeegee-like thing to just spread it out. And I did that and it looked phenomenal. You can ask Lisa. It looked amazing. And then went home. We lived like 5 minutes away. Came back the next day and it was still like I just put it down. It did not dry at all. And I'm like, what's going on here? I don't remember what time of year it was. I don't remember it being outrageously hot, but I feel like it was in summer, but I don't remember. It definitely wasn't winter because my sister's family had taken all of their furniture, everything that they owned that was in those rooms, and just put it out on the back porch. What else you going to do, I guess? And they wouldn't have done that if it was the wintertime. They had a massive, like 40-foot long covered porch that has like a 16-foot roof on it. I mean, when I tell you this is a paradise mansion of a house that they lived in, I'm telling you the truth. It was unbelievable. So there's plenty of space to put all of that furniture out on the back of the porch. But it hadn't dried at all. And it was because it went on way too thick, because I put it on in a way that I was not familiar with. I wanted to put it on with a roller. Nah, it'll be fine. Use the T-bar. So I didn't know what to do. And I called him up and I'm like, dude, I don't know what to do here. There's massive puddles on the floor. He obviously was not thrilled about it. And I don't blame him. I felt horrible about it because I'm like, this is on me. I did this wrong. I don't know. But he didn't fly off the handle or anything like that. He was a man of means. Like, something needs some money thrown at it. He didn't have a problem with that. It was really not a big deal. So he ended up calling a guy, which is what he should have done in the first place. A hardwood floor guy came out and looked at it, and he was like, oh yeah, there's nothing I can do with that. I was there when the guy showed up, and he was like, I can't do anything with that. Basically, at the point when the guy showed up, it had finally dried, but it went on so thick that it wasn't adhering to the wood. So you could literally walk and just kind of scrape it off with a fingernail. It was a nightmare. It was total sludge. It was horrible. He was like, yeah, I can't work with this. So what we're going to end up having to do is start from scratch. Like, I'm going to have to come in here, sand it all back down, and then we'll finish it the right way. And my brother-in-law was like, all right, whatever, do what you got to do. And so that's what ended up happening. And the guys came in, they knocked it out in like 2 days. It looked amazing. They had a crew of like 4 guys. So they sanded it all really fast, put the first coat. There was no stain on it. It was just raw pine. So they put the finish down the end of the first day, came back the next day, scuffed it, put the second coat on, job is done. They did it super fast. That's how a professional does their job. And they did an amazing job on it, way better than what I did. And so in a situation like that, oh yeah, it was definitely worth calling a guy. And for me, this would have been, when was it, Lisa? It was probably 2014 when I did that. It was $3,700 to have the guy come in and do the job. 2-day job, $3,700. I was there when he gave my brother-in-law the estimate. So I know. And was it worth it? Oh, you betcha. You betcha it was absolutely worth it for him. And if I had it to do all over again with my floors, I would have absolutely had a guy come out and do it. There are certain projects, and I know this from experience. I know this from making mistakes. I didn't think it was going to be a mistake to do the floors this time in the kitchen. I did not learn from my mistake of doing that in my brother-in-law's house, ex-brother-in-law. I should have never taken that project on. I should have waited until we had it in the budget to have a crew come in and refinish those floors. In my personal kitchen, I should have done that. Or what I think would have been even a better option, which is something I still may do, is just cover them up. Cover up the floors entirely with Berber carpet. No, I'm joking. With some type of laminate that is water resistant. They have a lot of it out there right now. It looks great. The stuff that I have in my living room, I told you before, I kind of regret doing that, but I also kind of don't. I mean, it serves the purpose. It looks really good. And neither that part of the house or my kitchen are original parts. I would never put laminate in the original house. Like this room that I'm in right now is kind of part of the original house. I would not put laminate in here. I think that's blasphemous. But a part that's, not really got anything to do with this house's origins, sure, why not? Lisa doesn't know it yet, but I'll probably still do that on the floors that we have in our kitchen. But why? Well, it's simple. Man, I haven't had Gatorade in a long time. My wife got this because she's like, it's so hot, we're going to get dehydrated. So here's the thing. Hopefully you watched the video of me refinishing the floors in that kitchen. Worst experience of my life. And part of the reason why it's the worst experience of my life is because I'm not happy with the results. When I made the video, I even said in the end, am I thrilled? No. Am I happy that it's done? Yes. Can I live with it? Yes. But the farther we've gotten from it actually being done, the more and more I hate it. Now, I'm not going to be able to do anything about it right now. My wife certainly wouldn't even let me do anything about it right now. But that is going to go on the list for the future. And it should be an easy project, famous last words. My floors have a lot of different levels. And I know that doesn't make sense, but we have an area that leads into our kitchen that's 3/4 of an inch taller than the kitchen itself. So it's a teeny tiny 3/4 inch step down. The transition from one floor to the next is 3/4 of an inch. Most laminates are 3/8. So what I would end up doing is just taking the threshold out and just putting new laminate floors right over top of what we already have in there. Not a big deal. Floating floor, put it in there. It's done. It's over with. I will remove the baseboards and have to redo all of that because I don't want to do quarter round. But even at that point, I might even be convinced to just do quarter round, not even have to worry about the baseboards. I don't know. But the reason why I'm so unhappy with it is something that if I was a professional, I would have known. I would have known that this was going to be a thing, but I didn't see it because I didn't know what I was looking at. It's something that you probably didn't see in the video, and that is chatter marks. I don't know if that's what they're called, but that's what I call it. Chatter marks from the drum sander. They are everywhere, and it really bothers me. Now, when we move the table in, my wife just informed me recently she doesn't want to put a rug in there, which I think is a mistake. I was hoping we could do that. I was hoping we could put a rug underneath both tables to cover some of that up, but she doesn't want to do that. Look at this, Dennis. Thank you, Dennis. You give so many memberships already, and now even Whip's World got it. Look at that. Whip's World was gifted a membership. That is amazing. Jerry Goebel, Dragon Dad, names that I am familiar with that I see all the time, got donated memberships. That is so nice of you. Thank you, Dennis. I believe Dragon Dad is the first one to ever send a super chat to the Money Pit. Anyway, that name will always stick with me. The results of the kitchen floor are tolerable, but they're not something that makes me happy. And so, was it worth it for me to DIY my floors? No. But that's the only part that's not worth it to me. The cabinets are not perfect. The doors are not perfect. There he goes again with the Dragon Dad. Thank you. Look at this. All of a sudden, I'm getting spoiled by everybody. Everybody feels bad for me for how often I ruin floors. Uh, thank you for that, Dennis. Or Dragon Dad, my bad. And Dennis. I'm going to guess. And for some reason, when I guess about these things, I turn out to be pretty close to being accurate. I think the refinishing of my floors would have been a $4,000 job, somewhere around there. I just got done telling you that my brother-in-law's was $3,700. That was also 11 years ago, and it was also 3 times the size, if not even bigger than that. I mean, we're talking about 350 square feet in my kitchen. It's basically one room and a powder room. That's it. That is, I really don't think I will ever do that again. Refinishing floors. I will either call a guy or I'll cover him up. It cost me it would have cost $1,000. The finish itself, the Bona Traffic Go, was $379. The stain was like $50. The conditioner was like another $50. And then the rental of the equipment would have been in the neighborhood of like $5, but I got some of that back because the edger was a piece of junk. And so they refunded me back for that. So it would have been close to $1,000 for the materials to do that job. So, saving 75% by doing it myself. Is it worth it for that job? No, it's not. Because if I had paid a contractor to come in and do that, they would have done, let me tell you how it would have been. If a contractor came in and left the floors in the condition that they're in now, guess what I'd be saying? Oh no, that has to be redone. I'm not that guy. I'm not a male Karen. My sister's name is Karen, the one I've been talking about, which makes me sad every time I say Karen, but there's no way I would have accepted that from a professional. No, if I'm paying you $4,000, you got to do better than that. But because I did it myself, I'm stuck with it unless I decide to cover it up. When you consider what I went through, I'm not trying to get sympathy from anybody, but my wife will tell you it was the worst. I've never been more miserable. I've never been in such pain because of that machine. It was the worst. So to pay an additional $3,000, which I do not have, so it wasn't even an option, it would have been absolutely worth it. But I know now that hardwood floors, refinishing them, it is not worth it. And boy, let me tell you, I saw one of the greatest videos I've ever seen recently. My favorite YouTube channel is Blacktail Studios. I've said it so many times. He did a video, I think it was last week. I'm going to tell you the exact name of the video that he put out. This is his most recent upload. Where'd it go? What the heck? Maybe it's on his other channel. Maybe that's why. Trying to find it here. He may have put it up on his other channel. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Blacktail Studios is a woodworking channel. He's amazing. My favorite channel on the platform. He did a hardwood floor refinishing video, and he titled it something like "Everyone's Wrong About This." I'm gonna see if I can find it because it's bothering me now. Let's see. Yep. Everyone is wrong about wood floors, and I was right. It's on his second channel, Blacktail Studio Uncut. He did what I wished I would have done. Now, he is a guy of much more means than me. He is very successful. His second channel, let me see here. This is so dumb. Like, I don't even understand how, like, this is how you know you're talented. His second channel has more subscribers than every YouTube channel I'm involved with combined times 2. His second channel has 1.43 million subscribers. It's obscene. So he's doing better than I am financially, and that's great. He deserves it. He's the man. It's so funny because this is probably why I love his channel so much, because I can relate to almost everything he says. The beginning of that video, and it is on the Blacktail Studio Uncut channel. The title is "Everyone is Wrong About Wood Flooring." Let me see. I might even be able to. Let me see if I can. There it is. That's the video right there. He starts off the video. I'm going to paraphrase it. He starts with a staircase, and he has cherry floors. Cherry sands beautifully. It's not that difficult compared to heart pine. It's hard. It's harder than number 2 pine, but it's. I'll sand cherry all day long. He starts with this staircase, and he's like, so I'm thinking what I'm going to end up doing is get this flight here done today. It's like a 2-level staircase. It goes up and then turns and then goes the rest of the way up. He's like, I'll do this today, and then I'll do the other section tomorrow. And then he does one stair. It takes him like the entire day to do one stair, one tread, not even the riser, just one tread. And he's like, yeah, you know what? Screw this. I'm calling a guy. And he calls in a professional crew that comes in and does it. If we had, we had all of our budget tied up in everything else. So if we had it in the budget to do the kitchen, for me to just call a guy and bail me out of that project doing the floors, I absolutely would have done it. For the simple fact that it would have been done right. I would not be looking at what I'm looking at now. And it doesn't, at least my wife being the most wonderful person that she is, maybe she just doesn't say anything about it. I don't know. But to her, she's like, it looks fine to me. It looks great. I don't have a problem with it. But I'm like, how can you possibly be okay with that looking the way it looks? Bless her. She doesn't have a problem with it. I don't like looking at that. And I don't like every time I walk into the room being reminded of that failure. So again, it would probably cost me about $2,000 to put laminate in that room. And at some point in the distant future, I'm going to end up doing that. I'm just going to cover it up because to hell with those floors. I'm over it. I don't want it anyway. Now, I talked about the bathrooms. There's another major project. And this is one that I'm hoping can be done this fall. That's what I really want to do, which is restoring the exterior of the fish house building on our property, which is actually the store/school, but we call it the fish house. I've talked about it before as being on my list of things that need to be done. It needs paint really bad. The paint that's on it now is peeling really bad. So there's a lot of repairs that need to be done there. There's a couple of pieces of siding that are going to need to be replaced. There's a piece of siding that's just not there. And it's right on, it's hard to explain. The store side has a little porch on it, a covered porch. It's the very bottom piece of siding on top of the roof. So there's like a little gable on top of the porch. The very bottom piece of siding is just gone. And so the metal flashing is completely exposed. It looks bad. I may have to replace all of the siding in that little spot, but it's not a huge deal. Famous last words. But hopefully I can find matching siding, or I can just do some type of trim across the bottom there to cover that up and have it not look so bad. There's a couple of pieces of small molding that are missing. It's not like a major thing. The fish house or the barn? No, the fish house is what I'm talking about. Whip, you've been in the building many times. You know, you probably haven't seen these issues that I'm talking about because you, to my knowledge, you didn't walk around the building inspecting every square inch of it. But so I'm going to have to go through and do all of those repairs, not to make it look perfect, but to make it, manageable. And then I'm going to have some fun making sure that it's a not windy day. I'm going to spray the exterior of that building. I have the Graco X5 sprayer, which is a phenomenal paint sprayer. I love that machine, and it's going to make painting that building an absolute breeze. It's going to be all the prep work building up to that paint that's going to be the tough part. And I really want to change the color of that building, but I don't know if we're going to end up doing that. I think it's going to go back to being white, but there's no way I would call a guy to do that project. There's no way. Would most people tackle a project like that? Probably not. But I can't call a guy to do something that I know I'm fully capable of doing. I'd rather it sit there for another year untouched than to pay a guy to do it. And maybe that's because Lisa and I aren't loaded. If we were just made of money, I could see Lisa convincing me like, you know what? You do enough. Let's just have somebody come out there and do that. They'll have it done in 4 days and you won't have to worry about it and it'll be perfect. But the fact that we're not loaded makes it to where I'm like, no, I'm going to do that myself. I think that does kind of play into it a little bit, but there's also the pride part of it. I mean, I love doing that kind of stuff. Yeah, I would hate it right now. You couldn't convince me to do it right now in this heat, getting assaulted by the bugs and the heat, and no way. But in the fall, oh, I could absolutely see me doing that. One of the things that's going to have to be purchased, I will not do it any other way. It's kind of like, there's tools that I have bought while doing this kitchen that I told Lisa, I'm like, all right, listen, I'm going to save us like 30 grand by doing this project, but I'm going to need to buy some tools. And it's a part of the deal. There's going to be one major thing that I'm going to want to buy for that project. And there's no negotiations, and that's scaffolding. I will be purchasing some scaffolding for that project. And it's just to make it so much easier. And not only that, but there's a couple of portions of the building that are 2 stories. And so being able to set up scaffolding and just be able to get up there and work and not worry about ladders and all of that kind of stuff, that is going to be a requirement. Scaffolding's probably going to cost probably $1,000 for a set of scaffolding that I can go 2 levels with. And the nice thing about it is I can also use it when I go to do projects on this house, including like even now, if I had a set of scaffolding, I would use that to pressure wash. We have one side of our house, like so many people's houses. What is it? The western side is the one that always gets algae built up on it. I don't know, but it's that side, whatever side that side behind me is, always gets the green algae on it. It's terrible. I have to pressure wash it every year. I don't mind doing it as long as it's a nice warm day, because you can't pressure wash without getting wet. I don't care who you are. I don't mind doing it. Right now, I use a little giant ladder to do it. It takes me a day to go through and pressure wash the areas of this house that have to be done. But I enjoy that. It's not that big of a deal. Is it north? Okay. Let me see something here, because I'm not questioning you, Dennis. Not in the slightest. But You're right. You're 100% right. It is the north. I'm looking at my house on Google Maps right now, and it's definitely the north side. I was not questioning you, Dennis. I just wanted to, like, I never knew that side of my house was north. The way I've always done it, the front of the house is north. So if you're standing at the street, you're looking at the north side of the house. So therefore, this side, like if I'm standing at my front door, west, east, north, but geographically, that's actually not how it lays out. That is definitely the north. So I'm looking south as we speak. You are looking north. Isn't that weird? Anyway, why, what are we doing? Geography now? Are we doing a geography lesson? I would actually use the scaffolding even for pressure washing. It's so much more stable and so much easier. I have the Little Giant, which I love. It's the greatest. I love that ladder so much. But one of the worst things, the ladder that I got, the Little Giant, extends to 27 feet, I think, or something around there. Like fully extended as an extension ladder, it can go up to 27 feet. But what I like to do is open it up and have it be a step ladder at its peak, which is high enough for me to be able to get all the way to the top, because on the north side of the addition, it's a 2-story wall that gets the algae on it. And so I got to get way up there with the pressure washer. And so I extend the Little Giant up as high as it can go. And then I go all the way up to the top. And as soon as I hit the pressure washer, it does that, you know what I mean? Like it kicks you a little bit. That's pretty damn scary when you're 12 feet up in the air on top of a step ladder. I'm not standing on top. I still got a handle on the ladder, but it's a little scary. So to be up there on scaffolding would be a lot easier. But anyway, what I'm getting at is, I'm anticipating, even with buying the scaffolding, doing the work that I will do to that fish house, store, school, probably $2,000 plus scaffolding. So we're looking at probably about $3,000. How much would it cost for a professional to do it? A lot more. I mean, I think it would probably be somewhere around 75% more, but that would be for just the materials part. So like I'm saying, scaffolding, probably $1,000, $2,000 for materials. And the materials would be a couple of pieces of siding, some trim, all of the caulking and the primer and the paint and all of that kind of stuff. So probably $2,000 in materials, maybe a little less. I don't know. So multiply that by 4 is what I would expect to pay a professional. So $8,000, I don't think would be outrageous in today's world, as expensive as things are. I don't think it would be outrageous to say $8,000 is what it would cost us to have a professional come out and do what I will be doing to that building. The big difference, though, is they would come in here, they would show up on a Monday, they would have probably 6 people, and they would blast through it so fast, and they would probably do as good, if not better of a job than I would, and get it done guaranteed less than a week. Cleaned up, no trash laying around, no spray paint on the grass. Like, it would be perfect. That's the big difference. Me, I gotta go get the scaffolding, set it up, bring all my tools out, set everything up, clean everything. Every single time you use the paint sprayer, you got to clean it out. It's a whole big thing. And then once the project's done, clean everything up, put everything away. It's a huge deal. I wouldn't have to worry about any of that. That is Does that make it worth it? Well, it's hard to argue no. But the thing is, I don't want to pay somebody to do a job that if I did it, I would feel guilty watching them do it. Here's a great example. We had a pond put in 2 years ago. With the KG Tropicals channel, we did it in collaboration with a company called Eastern Outdoors and Aquascape Inc., Greg Woodstock. We're very fortunate to have been able to collaborate with them. We did not have to pay what it would cost. It was not free. It's not like these guys came out here and built us a pond and left and it didn't cost us a dime. No, it cost us like $4,000. We basically had to buy all of the big rocks and the rocks for the bottom, the gravel and all of that kind of stuff. But everything else, including the labor, which is the most expensive part, was, we got that for the collaboration. So we didn't have to pay out of the pocket. It would have cost us in the neighborhood of $25,000 if we had to pay for that. I cannot think of an example that is more worthy of the money than that. Because 3 guys came out here with a mini excavator, a mini front end loader. Like, they had all of the equipment. They knew how to strap up big boulders to move them into place and have the excavator move them over into place. They knew how to design all this stuff. They knew where to dig. They came in here and blasted it in 2 days, did an amazing job. There's no way I could have done what they did. Not possible. And so there was no guilt there at all watching those guys, those professionals, do something that I'm incapable of doing. I don't have a problem with that. But let me tell you something. I would never feel more like a loser than to be sitting where I'm sitting right now. And just so you know, I've got 5 windows, one on each side and a bay window in front of me. When I'm sitting here at my computer, which I have my 2 computer screens kind of covering the windows, which is unfortunate, but I can see my entire property as I'm sitting here. Well, the entire southern side of the property I can see. And it's great because if somebody pulls up, if the UPS guy pulls up, if there's a cat running across the yard, I can see it. And it's wonderful. It makes me feel like I'm not closed in. But if I was to sit here and watch people out there on lawnmowers cutting my grass, I would feel like such a loser. I'm not saying anybody that pays a grass guy is a loser. I'm just saying it would make me feel bad to do that. But I still may do it someday. It depends on how rich I ever get. But, the bottom line is I am fully capable of going out there and cutting my own grass, and I refuse to pay somebody to do it, especially now when my wife enjoys putting a tank top on so she can get some sun and going out there and riding around on the John Deere while I'm on the Kubota, and we knock it out, and it's wonderful, and we feel good about ourselves when we're done. Maybe not in this heat, but you know what I'm saying. It's a lot easier now that she helps me out with it. But the thing is, if I was to pay somebody, they would probably, every single landscaping crew I've ever seen out in my area, they would come like 4 people deep. They would have a trailer with 2 mowers on it, and they would just get out and they would just be running. I mean, I've watched these guys do what they do. And it's usually a crew like that You would have one guy, which would be the least senior person on the team, probably the youngest person, would be running around the property, picking up all of the debris, all of the sticks, all of the bark from the sycamore trees, all of that. He'd be running around, picking all that stuff up, literally running around doing that. While another guy would be running around with a weed whacker. That's what I call them. Weed whacker, doing all of the edging. And the other two guys would be on the mowers, and they'd be all over the place. And you know those guys, they got those big skags and stuff like that. They're going full bore, all out, blasting through this. They'd probably do the entire thing in an hour and a half. And it would be immaculate. But I would still be sitting here like, oh man, I feel so weird. They're out there busting their asses. And I'm sitting in here. Oh, I would feel so weird about it. But hopefully someday I wouldn't feel so weird. I would be able to look at it for what it truly is. And I'd be able to look at it and say, you know, I might be sitting on my ass and those guys are out there busting theirs, but I'm being productive. I'm doing my work. I'm growing my business. I'm doing the things. I'm being productive. That would be the thing that would make me feel better about that. So, I mean, I could see, and I'm not getting any younger either. Yesterday was positive, was proof of that. You know, 51. I'm not exactly an old man, but I sure feel like one. And it gets harder and harder and harder to get out there and do all of that stuff. By the time I'm 60, am I going to want to be out there cutting the grass? I don't know. Probably not. But we'll have to see. Is DIY worth it? The answer is yes and no. I mean, when my kitchen is entirely done, which the island, I'm getting there. Okay. I'm getting there. I just did the ceiling fan 2 weeks ago. Also replaced the light fixtures, which look, by the way, I'll be doing a video on that. It's a very simple video, but I still will be doing it because it is a very small thing that has a major impact on the overall appearance of the room. So I will be doing a video on the light fixtures. Well, we picked them up on clearance, which is great. But they don't look like they're something that came out of the clearance bin. And then there's the island. When the island's done, I will be done with what I will be doing. Well, except for, I'm so stupid. I realized this the other day. And you know what? If we're going to talk about this, I just turned 51 years old. I'm an old man. I have to pee. I'm going to do that. Not right here. Don't be weird. My bathroom is right on the other side of this wall. Give me 30 seconds. I can't believe I'm doing this right now. See how fast that was? Did I wash my hands? No, because I'm a man. Viruses and bacteria be damned. I found something out that's really embarrassing. Well, it's not embarrassing. It's just like, oh, I can't believe I did that. So when I do a project, it doesn't matter what kind of project it is. When I do a project, I have a strategy with every project that I do. Whatever's the most difficult part of the project, I do that first. So an example would be painting. I don't mind cutting in. Cutting in's kind of, it's kind of fun, and I'm pretty good at it. I don't, that part of the project doesn't bother me. But what I despise doing is cutting in around the baseboards, because I don't like being down on the ground. I don't like that bending over part, and that's my least favorite part. So I do that first. I do the worst part first. That way everything else is easier. Obviously, you're going to cut in everything first anyway, but I will strategize it where I'll do the bottom because I hate it, and then I'll do the top. Well, when I painted my... Did it pick up the sound? Hey, that was what it sounds like to hear a man pee. That's what... You didn't hear that. Shut up. You might have heard the toilet flush. You didn't hear it, did you? Who cares? It's not like it was like Dumb and Dumber. You know what I'm saying? That would have been humiliating. But just pee, so what? When I painted that room, I cut in around the bottom, painted the gray on the kitchen. And then when all of that was done, I went back through and had to touch up the trim. It's a long story. So not touch up the trim, but I had to paint all of the baseboards. And so while I painted those baseboards, I figured, that's when I'll do the window trims and I'll do the doors and all of that kind of stuff. Well, what I did was I went through and I cut in everything on the bottom. Or I didn't cut in, but I painted the baseboards all the way around the bottom. And since I was down on the ground doing my least favorite part, I painted the bottom of all of the doors. There is 1, 2, 3, 4 doors in that room. One goes into the bathroom, one goes into Lisa's office, one into the laundry room, and one to the exterior of the house. I painted the bottom half of all of those doors. And then I went through and got everything else done. And then I was worn out. And I was just like, you know what? Forget it. I'm going to paint the top of the doors tomorrow. Well, I just realized yesterday I never did that. Now, in my defense, the doors and the windows and all of that weren't horrible to begin with. A little dirty. They hadn't been painted in a while, but they were painted from white to white. So it just is kind of like one of those things you don't even really notice. In fact, my wife is probably thinking right now, I didn't even realize that. And now it's going to drive her crazy when she walks in and sees that the top half of all of the doors is still the old paint. Or maybe she knew, and again, she's being nice. I don't know. But yeah, that's another one of those little punch out things that I have to do. It's easy enough to do. And, like I said, the hard part's over. All I got to do is walk in there, paint the top of the doors. Silly, easy. So I do have to do that. And then I have to get the island done. When that's done, I will be calling a guy. And it's because I have no other choice. And this is where, to me, of course, it's worth it to have somebody do something that you are incapable of doing. I'm not capable of doing countertops. If I wanted to do terrible Formica countertops, like what's in there now, I could do that. I've done that. It's very easy. You use some type of substrate. Usually nowadays it would be MDF, but back in the day they used particle board, and you use contact cement. You use a J roller. It's not that big of a deal. I have a trim router. Easy. Formica's simple. But I don't want Formica. Formica's fine, but we're remodeling the entire kitchen. We want granite, right? So we're going to end up having a company come out that has the lasers and the CNC machines and all that stuff to do that. And, I'm not capable of doing that. So obviously, when there is a project that you're just not capable of doing, it makes sense to call a guy. But the reason why I'm okay with that is, for one, I don't have the stuff to do it. I'm not capable of doing it. And for two, I don't even know what for two is. It's just, I'm not doing it because I just don't feel like it. It's like, well, I don't have time for that. I'm so busy. I'm not. No, it's because I can't do it. I'm not capable of doing that. Um, that's why I'm going to hire a guy to do that, or a girl. I don't know. I mean, I don't know who does countertops around here. I'll find somebody and it'll be fine. So, and there is, of course, there's no shame in that. But one of the other major drawbacks, it's the last drawback I will mention. If you're somebody like me, little flaws will bother the hell out of you. And that is certainly when I walk into my kitchen or my living room, the two rooms that I've done major renovation work in, I see every flaw. It's automatic. My eyes go. That one door is not quite adjusted properly. This little thing. Oh yeah. I remember when my paint roller accidentally touched the ceiling there above the cabinet and I got that spot. I never touched that up. Like, my eyes are immediately drawn to those flaws, which means they're drawn straight down to the floor now, to all of the flaws in there. That's one of the biggest drawbacks. The things that look good in the kitchen far outweigh those flaws though. So it's okay for me. And normally, except for the little touch of gray on the ceiling, which I forgot to touch up, there are things that are really, it's like, okay, whatever. I mean, we're talking about old cabinet boxes. Things didn't fit together properly. They're not perfect. I can accept that. It kind of is what it is. But if it's due to laziness or just ignorance, then it really, really bothers me. And I think that would bother most people. That is a huge drawback. However, what are the things that would make it worth it? Almost everybody, if I was to poll the audience right now, 64,000 people watching this live right now. That's a running joke for me, by the way. I do that all the time. It's funny. I love seeing in the comments, people are like, does he really think there's 64,000 people watching? That's fun for me. You're automatically going to think that I'm going to say it's cost. I don't know how much my kitchen would cost if I was to have paid somebody to do everything I've done, but it would be a lot. We're going to probably have, when countertops are done and appliances are done and everything else, probably somewhere in the neighborhood of $13,000 to $14,000 into that room. I'm going to do a final video when it is all done and break all of that down, because I know a lot of people want to know that stuff. It's probably in the neighborhood of $13,000 to $14,000 that we will have invested into that kitchen. It would not shock me at all if an estimate had come in at 40 to do what I've done in there. Maybe not. I don't know. We're talking about 8 new cabinets. We're talking about drywall repairs. We're talking about a major ceiling repair and the moving of a duct. We're talking about refinishing floors, countertops, painting everything, including the cabinets, appliances. I don't think 40 grand is astronomical. Curtis said 50 to 100. Okay. It could have been a $50,000 job if I had replaced all of the cabinets. It could have easily, not 50 for me, because I would have built them myself. What you've seen so far, I built 5 cabinets. But it's actually 8 because I built 3 for the island. The island alone is a $10,000 deal. I've built them for people before. I know. The countertop alone, I'm not going to tell you what it's made of. The countertop alone would be a lot. I can't give up secrets. Actually, I did for members. Everybody that has got gifted those memberships from Dennis today, watch that video that I put up a couple weeks ago. They know the secret about the countertop. That countertop, easily $5,000 by itself. So 40,000 might actually be a little low. I know I priced out because I just started considering every option. I priced buying all of the doors and drawer fronts, unfinished, just buying them, custom made. And that was going to be like $4,000 by itself. I paid $1,200 for the lumber to build all of those doors, all of the drawer fronts, the drawer boxes, the 8 additional cabinets, like all of the materials for the island, all of that. I paid like $1,200. So to pay $4,000 just for doors that still have to be painted and all that kind of stuff, needless to say, it is a massive savings that we will have from this, not to mention the increased value of the property or the house itself. So from a financial standpoint, is it worth it? Of course. Absolutely. Since, if we're going to save in the neighborhood of $30,000, would my wife tell you it's worth it to go through what we've gone through for the last what will be 5 months when it's all said and done, to save $30,000? I think she would probably tell you yes. So the financial savings is certainly a motivating factor, but it's not the number one motivating factor. The number one for me is the pride. I know how silly it sounds, but it's true. Being able to walk into that room and go, damn, look what I did. Nothing's better than that. No amount of money is better than that. Yeah, the floors don't look the best. The floors have their flaws. And to be honest, most people that walk into the room probably won't notice the flaws that I notice when I walk into there and see the floors. None of those flaws have anything to do with the work that my wife did. It's all that drum sander that completely, I felt so violated by that thing. But just going in there and having walked into that kitchen for almost 3 years, every day, multiple times per day, seeing it the way it was before, and then seeing it the way it is now, especially when that island goes in, that island's going to knock people's socks off. I'm just telling you, including my own. I can't wait for that island to be done. When the whole thing is done, I'm already walking into that room like, wow, this is an accomplishment right here. I feel really good about what I've done, about what my wife has done. Like this is worth it to me. That, to me, is worth so much more than the money side of it. And, are you going to feel the same way by walking into a kitchen and saying, wow, this is so nice. It's so amazing, the work that, Big Jim's kitchen remodeling did. It's different. It's different when you do it yourself. And that is why I am a DIYer. That's the whole reason why. When I look at that rocking horse that's in my hallway that I built in 2002, when I look at anything that I've built in this house, there's things that I built over 20 years ago that I still, when I see them, I'm like, that's really cool. I did that. That's worth so much more than money. And so for that, yes, it is absolutely worth it. Money savings, sure. What I would say to anyone who is an aspiring DIYer or contemplating being a DIYer, what I would say to them is this. you're going to save money, but don't do it for that. My strategy has always been, not recently, but in the past, like if I'm going to build a piece of furniture for myself, like the big red cabinet that we have in our living room that I built 20 years ago, that piece is built substantially better than pretty much any furniture manufacturer would do, because they're not going to do the things that I did while I was building that, because it just wouldn't make sense. They're not going to mortise and tenon the face frames. That would be ridiculous. They're not going to do all of they're not going to cut dados to put the shelves in, the permanent shelves, and glue it all up. No mechanical fasteners. They're not going to do that. They're going to do what's fast, what's cheap, and keep it moving so that they could build 300 of them in the amount of time that I built one. So you're not going to get the same level of quality that you will if you do it yourself. And that, to me, is where that extra money goes, if that makes sense. Now, I didn't do this with the kitchen because there's only so much work that needed to be done in that kitchen. But if you think about it, if I had gone completely overboard and replaced all of the floors and replaced all of the cabinets and did all of those things and paid, even doing it myself, paid 40 grand, that kitchen would be a hell of a lot better quality than if I'd paid a contractor that's going to go to the bargain basement, cheap supplier for cabinets, so I'm paying the same money as if I paid a contractor, but I'm getting substantially better quality. That's a great way to utilize the savings of a DIY project. But even that is kind of hard to do. It would have been, even if we had a $40,000 budget for that kitchen, I don't know that I would have been able to spend that. What would I have spent it on? If I had a $40,000 budget for that kitchen, I would have rebuilt all of the cabinets, not just the 5. I would have built all new cabinets. I would have probably replaced the floors, and I would have done all of those things. And guess what? I still wouldn't have paid 40 grand. So that's what I'm trying to say, is utilizing that extra budget space, utilizing the savings to do the project better. That's a great motivating factor to DIY it. But there's nothing that compares to the pride of doing it. And yes, people coming into the room. We've had, I think, one visitor. Our daughter came here a couple of months ago. The kitchen was completely turned upside down. I don't even know how far along in the process I was. And she was like, "This looks really good. You're doing a great job." I think she was just being nice. But it's like, when it's done though, and we have people come over here, who knows who those people are going to be? And if somebody hopefully is like, "Wow, this looks really nice," nothing's better than that. I don't care. I don't care what you say. Nothing is better than that. It's what's important is how Lisa and I feel about it. But when people come over and just kind of, "Hey, you did a great job," oh man, forget about it. That is why you do it. And more importantly, the way it makes you feel to look at it. That's the way to do it. I'm convinced. I think I'll try my luck with some DIY because you've never done any DIY yourself there, Aquarium Domain. I know what you've been up to. You rascal, you. No, that's a DIYer right there, folks. Don't let him lie to you. He does some great work, and he knows exactly what I'm talking about. He knows what it's like to feel good about what you've done. You seen that guy's basement? Get out of here. Come on. He knows what he's talking about. That Glad to see you here too, by the way. Rare. I think you're my first check mark that I've had in this stream ever. Check mark being, his name is grayed out and he has the check mark. That means it's a verified channel, over 100,000 subscribers, that whole deal. I think you're my first. I've lost my verified account virginity on this stream. That just sounded really weird, but he could tell you, and I'm sure a lot of people could tell you that, that pride you feel looking at it. And I feel that for pieces that I built 20 years ago. What could be better than that? Absolutely nothing. Unless you're a crazy person like me and you see all the flaws first. But that is it. You can't do woodworking and construction without me finding it. That's funny. I'm the same way. Yet I watch way more woodworking stuff and home renovation stuff than I do fish stuff. Just because, I'm fish all day long, every day. It never ends. And so to get away from that, or to escape and feel less like work, I watch all the woodworking stuff, and I still find new woodworking channels almost every day. It's crazy. There was one very recently that I watched and I was like, how have I never seen this channel before? It's amazing how many people are out there doing incredible work. So I am the same way. I'm going to find you eventually. If you're doing woodworking, if you're talking about tools, I'm all over it. I'm going to talk about a quick rabbit hole that I don't know that will ever be realized. And then I'm going to get out of here because I got work to do. I don't know why. Okay. I'll tell you why. I know exactly why. I've talked in the past about the possibility of building a new building on our property for our KG Tropicals business. I can say pretty confidently we're going to do that. And the reason we're going to do that is because it would just be way too expensive to build the building elsewhere. One of my issues that I've had in contemplating that is if we build a $200,000 building on our property and then go to sell this house in 10 years, there's no way we're getting that 200,000 back. And it's hard to justify that unless you look big picture and you say, okay, yeah, but we built a $200,000 building, but how much money did we make from that building, from the business? That's where it gets justified. But the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I had this thought. I like to consider every single option. For the cats, no. For KG Tropicals, but that would free up the other two buildings, one of which would go to me and one of which would go to Lisa. One would be for woodworking shop. The other would be for cats. So the cats would benefit from that building for sure. But there ain't going to be a cat. There ain't going to be a dog in that building. No. Off limits to animals, except for snails. Be the only animals in that building. But I like to consider every single option. And I was like, well, you know what? Land is really cheap out here. And I could probably, my neighbor farms 2,000 acres all over this county and the next county. 2,000 acres. He doesn't own all of that. He leases a lot of it, but he owns, I think he owns 1,100 acres. And we've become friends. He's a good dude. And I hope he thinks the same of me. One of these days I'm going to go over there and ask him. I'm going to be like, look, dude, I see a lot of the property that you farm, and I know that some of these pieces that you have like a little wooded area, few acres that you're not able to make money from. Why don't you sell that to me? Yeah, sell it to me. I'll clear it out. I'll put my building over there. And the cool thing about doing something like that would be that it would stay close to where we live, but be off property so that it's an investment for the future. If we sell KG Tropicals and retire someday, the building goes with it, you know, those kind of things. And so that led to me thinking, well, if we did that and we kept it within like a couple of miles of our house, well, we would have to buy a side-by-side, obviously, because it would be dumb to get in the truck and drive over that. We'd just get in a side-by-side and go out there, no problem. So I fell down the rabbit hole of watching videos about side-by-sides. And let me just tell you, wow. There are side-by-sides out there that are as much as my truck. I got a 2023 GMC Sierra SLT. It's nice. And there are side-by-sides out there that have little 3-cylinder engines that have 100 horsepower that are as expensive as my truck was. I'm like, are you kidding me? It's madness. I think I'd probably end up going with one of those deals that they sell at Lowe's. They're like 10 grand, which I don't have, but we're fantasizing here, right? But man, some of those Can-Ams and Polarises that have like GPS and like ridiculous leather seats and stuff. And I'm like, what are we doing here with these side-by-sides? This is insanity. It was a lot of fun. I did see, I think it was Curtis Crump was talking about Lisa needs a golf cart. Well, that's where I would think we would need one. Not a golf cart because they're too slow, but a side-by-side for a situation like that where the building is just a mile and a quarter down the road. I live in a super rural area. You don't drive somewhere around here without going around a tractor. I mean, it's just, they're out there. And so many people are cruising around in little side-by-sides. It's insane. And it's always little Polarises. My neighbor has 2 Polarises and a Kubota. All right, let me rephrase that. I have 3 neighbors. They're all 4. They're all the same family. It's granddad, dad, 2 grandsons, 4 houses. They all 4 have side-by-sides. Granddad has a Kubota, and those are like 35 grand. Dad has a 6-seater Polaris. My neighbor across the street, I think, has a 4-seat Polaris. It might be a Can-Am. I'm not certain. And then his brother also has a Polaris. So it's like, I don't know. I kind of feel like I would need to probably conform. I think we'd need to go Polaris so that we fit in. Kubotas, I love Kubota. If I buy a tractor, it'll be a Kubota. And I want a tractor so bad. You don't even know how bad I want one. I already know which one I would want. It is the BX23S. Front end loader, backhoe, all in one package. Good to go. I think that's also somewhere around $30,000, which is why I don't have one. As much as I love Kubota, their side-by-sides are super ugly. They just look dumb. All due respect to my 81-year-old neighbor that still goes around in his Kubota and he looks adorable while he's doing it. I don't know that I'd be caught dead in one of those. But the Polarises and the Can-Ams, forget it. You need to convince your neighbor that they need the new model and try to buy their old one cheap. That's a great idea. But see, I'm kind of a diva. My fantasy would be to be able to use that side-by-side. If we had a building 2 miles down the road, I'd want to be able to use it year round. And I could use it year round if it was open. All of my neighbors' ones, except for the Kubota, don't have cabs. They're open cabs. I would want a cab on mine. So my neighbor's theirs just won't work. It's too much. I would need the cab. I need that AC. I'm a diva. Even though, except for the two sons, who I'm old enough to be their father, the dad and the granddad, they're older than me. Obviously, the 81-year-old grandfather is 30 years my senior. But the dad is I just found out. I thought he was younger than me. He's 57. He's 57. He's out there farming 2,000 acres. This dude, he's a rock star. The whole family. They were out there. They're 7 days a week. I mean, this is the season right now. They're planting. They're still planting. They just planted sweet potatoes next door. But they have 2,000 acres. So they're planting all over the place. And let me tell you something. I'm gonna tell you right now. Let me verify this. Yep, right there. I can look out my window and see watermelons that are going to be in my belly very soon. And they know that. And they've given us permission to do that. But anyway, did you watch Jason and Joanna talk about adventure? No, but I know Jason just went on a long trip from Chicago to Dallas. And I know he got caught in the heat too. I have not watched that yet though. You can't live in the country without toys. I know, and I don't have any. See, that's the problem. I need my wife to let me get one. The closest thing I have to a toy is that John Deere garden tractor, which I hook up my lawn sweeper to. That's not a toy. But we just have 4 acres. I mean, a side-by-side right now to go 300 feet to the fish house just seems dumb. My wife would argue, but it's like, hey, listen, okay, we can get you your side-by-side as soon as we get me my tractor. BX23S, look it up. What a beautiful machine. My neighbor has one. Not those neighbors, another neighbor. He's actually a UPS driver. He was our UPS driver. He has a BX23S, and he gave me, he told me, whenever you need it, just let me know. I got like 4 stumps right now I could be pulling with that backhoe, but I don't, major, $30,000 piece of equipment. I feel weird about borrowing something like that. I wouldn't tell him he can't come over and use that backhoe and use it himself and pull these stumps out. Listen, it's a fact. Any man that has a piece of equipment like that is looking for excuses to use it. And so I'm sure Brandon wants to use that BX23S. I'm sure he would come over here and do it, but I don't know. I feel weird about that. Anyway, I could make very good use of a Kubota like that. We just need about 2,000 channel members and we'll make that happen. Anyway, I'm fantasizing at this point. You just know, if you end up seeing a BX23S on my property or a side-by-side, we're doing pretty daggone good, because there's a lot of things on the list that have to be bought before we get any of those. And if I'm being honest, as we continue on, I might even have to go with something bigger than the BX23S, because I might need to get something that has a cab on it, because them bugs suck. And to have AC, forget it. I'd be out all day. I'd be like, hey, those bushes, I'm pulling them out. They're fine, but I'm pulling them out because I need something to do with this piece of equipment. But you start talking about a Kubota with a cab on it, or even a Deere, or whatever it is, whatever you're into, Yanmar, New Holland, forget about it. New Holland, that's like massive farm equipment. But yeah, you start talking about a cab with AC, you're talking 50, 60 grand. Forget it. It's not in the works for me. But that BX23S, here's my fantasy, and then I'm getting out of here. It's already been over 2 hours. My fantasy would be to someday be so old and so diva-ish that I have my 60-inch Kubota zero turn, and I go out on that machine and I do the perimeter of my property. Basically cut it all in. And then get a big pull behind 10-footer for that tractor with the cab, with the AC, and do the rest of the yard with that. Take me like 20 minutes, be done. That's the fantasy. It would be more than 20 minutes, but you know what I'm saying. I wouldn't want it to be 20 minutes because I wouldn't want it to be over. I'd want to be cruising around in that tractor, in that cab. I don't even have to have sunglasses on, and I'll just be cruising, loving life. But again, for that, I think we need about 5,000 channel members. You could make that happen today by becoming a channel member. I'm joking. That's silly. But anyway, the thumbnail shows you using Husky socket set. That's your problem right there. No, how dare you? It's a Stanley. Is that in the thumbnail? For real? Yeah, it is. But guess what? Spoiler alert. Hold on. Check this out. Birthday present. So we're good. Salient. Not using that one anymore. That Stanley socket set that you see in that thumbnail. How are you? All right, you're getting banned, Salient. How dare you tell me even worse? Do you see how nice this is? Are you kidding me? Why would you disrespect me by saying a birthday present is even worse? And that's just crossing the line, and I'm not being funny. Who? That was not done out of aggression. That was by accident. Who could possibly say a 159-piece Craftsman socket set is worse? You're a nut. I dropped it on the floor. That's a man's set right there is what that is. And no, don't be weird talking about a man's set. That is a birthday present from my wife. The one in the thumbnail I've had for like 20 years. That is a Stanley set. And the only reason I know it's a Stanley set is because I looked at it yesterday because I was going to throw it away because I don't need it anymore because I have that now. I'm a technician. I use good tools. Yeah, well, you know what? Those are good too. For me, I'm a hairy homeowner. If you're using stupid, overpriced, whatever, snap-ons and all that nonsense, you have at it. And I bet you're paying for it every day on your paychecks too. No, it's not made in India. This one, the whole thing with Craftsman is that they're made in the USA. But I don't know if this set is. Wow, I didn't know people were going to be this critical. I thought people were going to be happy for me. Where is this one made? I can't read it because my eyes are bad. I know their toolboxes are made in the USA. I don't know where this one was made, and you know what? I don't care. Because it's a hell of a lot better than the set I had. Strap on. Gear wrench, never heard of that. Must be stupid. DeWalt, Milwaukee. Okay, I got you there. But guess what? I'm thrilled with the one that I have. I don't care what you use. Cobalt, not bad. You're going to tell me Craftsman isn't good, but Cobalt is not. You just lost all the respect. Because I agree, Cobalt's not bad. But to say, first of all, you spelled it wrong. And second of all, it's not any better quality than Craftsman. Get out of here. And spell it right. It's spelled with a K. I don't know why, but it is. John's checking his tool again. All right, y'all need to stop it. This has been fun. Is DIY worth it? You damn right it is. For the money you save and for the pride that you get to take in knowing that you did it yourself. Even though, if you're like me, every time you looked at it, you're going to be seeing all of the flaws. That just comes with it. That's part of the deal. You're going to see the flaws. You just have to deal with that. If you can tolerate that, it's absolutely worth it. But I've got work I have to do. I actually got a text or an email just now from somebody I'm supposed to be having a meeting with. That's a very important meeting. So I have to do that for my big boy job. But this has been a lot of fun. And next week I will stream again. I don't know what time it will be, but I will do it because I enjoy this. I enjoy being able to talk about DIY renovation, even though people come in and make me mad about criticizing the birthday present that my wife got for me. You know, DeWalt bought Mac. Now, I didn't know that. But you know, DeWalt's owned by Stanley Black & Decker. So there's that. But anyway, listen, y'all, I got to get out of here. I like Craftsman. I'll say it to your face. I've had so much fun. People are coming in last minute. It's too late. I'm done, but you can watch it on replay. I've had fun, folks. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. And I will see you next week. I will be putting up a video, hopefully this weekend. So there's that too. But anyway, bye.